All right, welcome back, everybody, to America's Mom. Thank you for joining us today live here on Patriot TV. It is going to be a great show. We've got the great Christie Hutcherson from Women Fighting for America. Boots on the ground, fresh perspective of what's happening in North Carolina. I know you guys are all wondering, what is the update? Like, what's really been going on there? What's the real-time story? There's been videos of FEMA. Of course, we've seen the undercover videos where they have refused to give supplies, resources, even trailers to people who were supporting Trump, who may have had a Trump flag or who were registered Republicans at their address. This is no joke. FEMA, a federal organization that's not supposed to see party or color or ethnicity. They're just simply supposed to be meeting the needs of those who are endangered by emergency disasters. This is why, when we discussed the congressional bill that allowed FEMA to take control of your children during either natural or man made disasters, I was freaking out. Over and over and over again, government just continues to show us that they don't have good in mind. They don't do good by the people without force. It's not us. It's not we the people we got to worry about. It really is our government who thinks they have a little bit of authority, and they take it and they run with it. And they will literally refuse to take care of American citizens if they don't reach their criteria, if they don't check all of their political boxes, if they have a Trump flag on their front porch. Can you believe this? This is the times that we're living in. But I want to backpedal for just a moment. The verdict has come down now for Daniel Penny, and New York doesn't deserve him. Sorry, New York does not deserve Daniel Penny. And the verdict that came down, they were deadlocked. Again, New York does not deserve Daniel Penny or any man like him who would be willing to lay his life down and potentially risk his life because there's a psychopath on the subway and he's trying to protect women and children. I'm sorry, New York does not deserve Daniel Penny. The apparently the jury was deadlocked, and of course he's a free man right now, but they're still concerned that he may be facing other additional charges or he may be looking at more jail time anyway. We're going to see what goes on with that story. I've heard a lot of back and forth, so I'm actually reaching out to his attorney to see what's the final verdict here. What does he have to look forward to? Remember, keep in mind, this guy was on a New York subway and a man gets on who's having all kind of mental meltdowns and manic breaks right there on the bus, saying that he is going to kill someone. He's willing to go to jail for it. And one thing else he says over and over and over again, but he wants to kill somebody and he's going to jail for it. That's all I need to hear. And then you have a man who takes his protective nature seriously, steps in and defends all kinds of people on the subway, you guys, white people, black people, males, females, Hispanics, whatever else there was on the bus that day. He gets on. He's not thinking of any of that. He's just thinking, I need to keep the people safe. I have the skill set to do it. Of course, he is military and he knew exactly what to do. New York does not deserve him. Sorry. Um, oh, and of course, this is such an opportunity for the BLM, right? Hawk Newsom, what a moron. There are degenerates and then there are real degenerates, and he is the real degenerate. The BLM has been exposed, Black Lives Matter organization has been exposed for being a corrupt organization that pilfered off of the goodwill of good people, of decent people who really thought, hey, we need to help Black people. Okay. They pilfered millions and millions and millions of dollars. Nobody's ever gone to jail. But here's Hawk Newsom out there, and he's calling for the Black people to be his vigilantes. Now, anyone who falls for this, he is hoping that you're stupid. He's hoping that you haven't noticed how degenerate the BLM movement became. He's hoping that you don't know what a degenerate he is. And he's also hoping you're going to be okay with him taking advantage of you and risking your life and your future to go and throw some bricks. He's really hoping you're just an idiot. I hope nobody's going to fall for this. I truly do. The New York police were there to start arresting the protesters and rioters from the BLM. But in my mind, I just think everybody cue the riots. I guess we'll see. And of course, guys, Gwen Stefani, I just have to say it. Not that I follow popular culture, but when people are doing good, you want to say something about it. I mean, this is crazy. Gwen Stefani's been a lifelong Catholic. She's being canceled right now because she dared to promote the Hallow app. She's been a lifelong Catholic. She's always posted stuff on her social media. Black Friday, she'd have the little black city, the thing that Catholics do, the charcoal cross, or sorry, I don't really understand what it is. I think it's Ash Wednesday. Let me be a little bit more somber here. Ash Wednesday, put the cross on, all that. She's done that forever. I even knew she was a lifelong Catholic. I don't listen to her music. I don't really like her style, but whatever. She's being canceled because she comes out publicly saying, hey, there's this great app, the Hallow app, use it. She even has the audacity to say, the truth that God so loved the world and gave us his only son. She loves that truth. She's promoting that truth this holiday season. And the left degenerates are trying to cancel her. Nothing new under the sun. How do you guys put up with these people? They are literally the minority. They're a fraction of a minority. Most of them are looking at going to jail right now in Hollywood. Almost all of them have been accused of some form of SA against male, female, or child or animal. And yet these are the people that want to come out and cancel us for saying good things like this, like God loves us. He sent his only son. Please pray. Here's the Hallow app. I can't think of a better reason to be canceled. Gwen Stefani, we're going to give her 5 stars today. Good for her. And good for her for holding on to her faith, regardless of what the degenerate Hollywood crowd does and says. So bizarre. And then last of all, I want to point out some really great news before we bring our special guest on today. Bible sales are soaring, up 22%, not just Bible purchases, but by first time purchasers. People who have not owned a Bible, 22% increase over this time last year. And if you remember, this time last year was a little bit rough, right? This time last year, we're still dealing with the fallout of midterm elections. We have primaries that are getting started. There was a lot of instability, a lot of nonsense going on. We had the bald head crossdresser who was stealing people's luggage. It was a wild year last year. And yet right now, as people are, we're ushering in the Trump administration, Bible sales have escalated 22%. I think that is a good thing. Anytime people are looking to see what God thinks about what's going on, that is a very good thing. The CEO of the Hallow app, by the way, I just want to add this also. The CEO of the Hallow app is a man named Alex Jones. Can you believe that? It is not the Alex Jones. It is another Alex Jones, but just a little note there. I thought that was just interesting. What a name. What a name to have anyway. And then for that to be the man who's behind the Hallow app. So Bible sales are up. People want to know what's going on with God. And I don't think Gwen Stefani's going to get canceled. But you know what I think should be canceled? Government. I think the DOGE, the government oversight committee that Elon Musk and Vivek's Ramaswamy are forming is going to be epic with the oversight of Ron Paul. I think it's going to be amazing. And I think government needs a lot more of that. That's who needs to be canceled is government. And nobody knows that better than Christie Hutcherson. She's been following the shenanigans of our federal government, of the CIA, of these 3-letter organizations that somehow control literally everything from our food supply to our pharmaceuticals, of course, military industrial complex. It just goes on and on and on. Christie Hutcherson, thank you so much for being with us. Love seeing you.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Hey, America's Mom.
Oh, wow. Well, I tell you, we love you, obviously, Christy. And one thing I love about us and our relationship anyway is we both know that we're coming from a perspective of we really want to see the American people do well. You more than me, you've been in this realm for a very long time. You have been a contractor in the past with the Department of Defense. You've been in this role. Can you share just a little bit with our audience who may not be familiar with the background, where you come from, and then we're going to get into North Carolina?
Yeah, so I'm 20 plus years in the Department of Defense space from a contractual perspective. My previous life owned a consultancy business, very successful one. DOD, DLA, Pentagon, DHS, all of those little agencies. Been in theater, been contracted to do a lot of stuff, helping with ON's operational needs, secure logistics, you name it, we've done it. And so the government would contract us for solutions to their problems that they have on a very large scale. And so I'm not new to Washington, D.C., but what I love about everything that's going on right now is there's so much hope. And I know that sounds really crazy because people are like, oh my gosh, we've just come out of the worst 4 years ever, I think, in American history, just about. But it's not over with. We are not done. The globalists are not done. So therefore, we have to continue to fight. And, I look around and I'm traveling, as you can tell, I'm in a car again. I very rarely think that you can ever catch me behind my desk. So I apologize to everybody. I'm just always on the go.
You're in
But
a car more than America's Mom these days.
Yeah, there's just so much to work to do. And, I just want everybody to know, I want everybody to have hope. We're getting ready to celebrate the most important day, right? Period, in the history of the world. And that is the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who came to cleanse us from our failures and our inadequacies. And, it doesn't matter where you come from. We all have this opportunity to have this clean slate when you give your life to Jesus Christ, and to serve my incredible God, whatever that God that you believe in. But I can tell you firsthand knowledge, when he gets a hold of your heart, it just changes you. And so that's why I know you're fighting out there, Sharon. I've known you for quite a while now. You're a mom. You love this country. You saw what was wrong. Same thing with me. I'm nobody special. I'm just somebody who said yes to my Savior, and went out and did something to fight for my country. And so I want to give everybody hope this holiday season that we're going to see, I believe, a new golden age ushering in. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be without a fight. The globalists are not done, and our job is just beginning. So remember, our job is just beginning.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because I did mention, Bible sales are up 22%, first time purchasers. So people are I'm not sure if it is excitement driven, fear driven, if we're watching what's happening in the Middle East. And I did read your article, by the way, that you just put out regarding what's happening in Israel and them being added to the terrorist organization watch list and all that kind of stuff. Great article, by the way. It does help to kind of see a little bit more on a international scale what's happening, because Japan getting involved in this is kind of interesting to me, and being so strongly I'm not sure if it's anti-Israel or if it's anti-Benjamin Netanyahu, but we can talk about it a little bit. But I think it's really interesting to watch how people are reacting to what's happening in the Middle East, especially. We're going to talk about America, but what is your take on that? Because really, what just happened with Syria, Iran's role in that, seems to be Al Qaeda, which we created. I mean, tell me what your thoughts are about what's going on there.
Well, quite frankly, on a global scale, everything does impact the United States globally. I know the American people, we like to live with these blinders on in this bubble, but really we're an international world. And what happens in America actually has a trickle effect to the rest of the free Western world and the terrorist countries, right, who want to do harm in the communist countries. And so when you look at what's going on with Israel, and you have to look at things also lining up biblically and geopolitically. The fall of Syria is a good thing. That family was completely just disgusting, corrupt, killed their own people, gassed their own people. So it's not a bad thing that they're falling, but what we have to understand is now there's going to be instability, and who are they going to put in place? Is it going to be a pro-Westerner, or is it going to be another of somebody who's going to be another tyrant, right? Who is pro-Russia and China? And that's my concern. Are they pro-Russia, China, and are they going to be infiltrating and putting in their little puppet, right, to run that corner of the world, which is very close to Israel? Benjamin Netanyahu is getting a lot of flack. And with the international courts, which have basically no bearing whatsoever, no legal authority on a global scale, although they want to try to insert this authority, it's disgusting. And the people who are paying for these judges on these international courts, if you follow the money, I always say follow the money, right, Sharona? You find out that they're pro-Palestinian, they're from terrorist organizations who help to fund, and so they're skewed with their verdicts. And so we have to be strong for Israel. America has to stand by Israel. And what Biden's administration and the globalists are trying to do leading up to the presidential swearing in of DJT is you're going to see a lot of instability. They're going to try to make the quicksand happen, right, on a global scale. We are very close. And I'm not saying this to scare people. I'm saying this because it's reality. You have to understand what's going on so you can pray, know what to pray for, and what to do. But we are extremely close to a World War III. Actually, we've already dipped our toes into World War III in just a different way. And so we need to make sure that this does not escalate. Syria is a big deal. I'm glad Syria fell, but now we have to understand who they're going to put in place. Remember, Sirona, what happened when Ukraine, right? There was instability in Ukraine, and they installed Zelensky. The Democratic Party installed Zelensky, the globalist. And so now you see what's going on in the Ukraine, and that's a whole subject for another day. But we have to be very vigilant and watch what's going on a global.
Well, and I think that's what the concern has been too. I mean, kind of the conspiracies that I'm hearing, and I'm only saying I'm not using conspiracy as a four-letter filth word. I'm saying we just don't know exactly yet, but it sounds like a theory. We'll say theory. How about that? One theory is that this Al Qaeda that basically this Al Qaeda faction that's come in and removed Assad is being funded by possibly Iran. Won't be surprised to hear that. So then, how does it serve them to topple Syria if Russia loves Syria and Russia and Iran are coordinating together? It gets really murky. But then you also see that Israel's kind of rushed in now into Syria, and I think that's interesting. Also, I don't know exactly what to make of it. I remember thinking after the December 7th situation, or October 7th situation, rather, that I really had a hard time believing that the Israeli government did not know that Hamas had just infiltrated their country. They have the greatest weaponry of any country, greatest defense system of any country. They actually have, they have tripwire, basically, alerts them literally on their border if someone crosses over into their border without coming through the proper access. So I was genuinely shocked about that. And I have to tell you, as I don't think I've told you this, I was on a call with one of the generals and I said, I just have a hard time believing they didn't know. How in the world did they not know that Hamas had just infiltrated their country? This does not make any sense to me at all, based on how secure they are. And he said, "Here's what he said. I am not kidding you." He said, and this is where you're really strong. He said, "Well, there's no doubt heads are going to roll, but we're at war now." And I was like, you are really going to have to get buy in from the American people on this. We're not just going to go to war again because you're telling us, after everything we've experienced in the last few years, for me, when people just say defend Israel no matter what, I don't really buy into that anymore, because I don't think Benjamin Netanyahu is the Israel that the Bible's talking about anyway. And I don't think he's been a good president. He actually, that day on October 7th, he was looking at being removed and replaced. The people were already they weren't rioting, but they were definitely protesting in the streets against him. And there's been a lot of people unhappy with his governance and what he's done. And they can deal with
Mhm.
that. I have no, it's their country. They can deal with that. I just thought the timing was super interesting, that he was looking at being removed and the people are terribly unhappy with him. And we've always heard, hey, what's the best way to turn things around for you if you're in office is to start a war. But what is your thought about that? Because having this DoD experience and seeing how the military are I mean, the military operation works, and those who really profit, they really do when we're in war.
Wars are started for a couple reasons, and you have to understand the root cause of why a war is started. Wars can be good, and they can protect and defend the voiceless, freedom, right? But then also wars are utilized for a couple things. They're either utilized to divert, put something over here so you're not looking over here.
Mm.
They can be utilized to keep somebody in power, and they're utilized to strengthen the military complex, right? And the military complex isn't just the manufacturers of the big equipment. It also has to do with politicians and governments. And we have to understand on a global scale, because I look at things from a lens, from a geopolitical perspective. And so when you know that Biden's regime is coming to an end, they knew, by the way, they were scrambling. They knew that Kamala Harris, it was going to be a very big lift to get her into office. And even with the shenanigans that they were going to try, it was still going to be very difficult because they kind of unveiled themselves a little bit too soon. I believe they played their hand quickly and they were scrambling. So there's a lot of on a backroom deals. And you and I were in Davos 2 summers ago. It is not by chance that these leaders and world leaders get together in clandestine meetings, and they use these conferences as a front to do so. And they strategize. Okay, so if this happens, what do we need to, what's our plan B, C, and D? And then if this trigger point happens, what is going to be the reactionary, right? And so I firmly believe when you look at everything that's going on, and even right now, as Biden's getting ready to exit office,
Mhm.
keep watching what he's going to be doing. And by the way, this isn't coming from him. These orders are being activated from the globalists behind the scenes. And there's a few families that pull these puppet strings, right? And so this is all part of, I believe, a bigger plan that we're not going to understand until much later and months to come. And You're right about one thing. I believe that Benjamin Netanyahu was losing the grip of Israel, and this could be one of those diversionary tactics to
Mhm.
keep him into power. But at the end of the day, I will have to say this: the Palestinian people, they have been harboring and aiding and abetting the worst of the terrorist regimes. Hamas, Iran, these are just proxies. And they've allowed this to happen. And I don't advocate for any innocent life to be, or blood to be shed. Children are dying on both sides of the fence. But we have to eradicate the ideology of evil. And that's what this is about for America. We have to come to the defense of this ideology of freedom is so precious and evil is so embedded in these particular parts of the world. Women are treated horrifically. Children are used as pawns and sold and married off at 7 years of age. We have to change this culture. And so it's not a bad thing that they're wiping off Hamas off the face of this earth. And they are harboring these individuals, and they do it willingly, by the way. And so it's kind of one of those two double-edged swords. But I do hope that when Trump gets into office, that there is some serious, deep talks about how we can come together in the Middle Eastern worlds and to somehow bring some kind of peace, to usher in that at least 7 year peace that God talks about.
Well, it is interesting when we're talking about evil and we're talking about biblical things and timelines. We're going to talk. I've got to have you back to talk more about that. But I really, I value your perspective on this because you've been in this world and you know how the military-industrial complex thinks, and so that does kind of. Gosh, I wish we had more time because we would definitely be talking about Romania, Ukraine, and Russia and what's happening over there right now.
Romania
But
is, oh my gosh, I have
mhm,
friends who are in Romania. He's actually running for president of Romania. So, and he's also in the MEP. And we were just talking the other day that we'll have to come on because what's going on all around Russia, Japan, everywhere, America, buckle up. I'm telling you to buckle up because even when Trump gets into office, we're going to have a bumpy ride for a little bit of time.
yeah, yeah, it's like the death throes, right? The death
Yeah.
throes. So, okay, well, speaking of evil, you have been in North Carolina, and not the people of North Carolina, but we did mention just a little bit about what's been going on with FEMA, the refusal of help and support, even trailers, to update us on what's going on there. And we are going to show your video after we're done talking here. So, but I want to know what's going on. What's separate fact from fiction for us? What are you seeing there?
What's going on in North Carolina is a travesty. We live in America. We don't live in a third world country, and I can tell you right now, people are dying. It's facts. You know, we just had, it was a couple weeks ago on Monday. I was last Monday. I was at the state capitol. I was asked to go, and I was with and briefing senators. I'd already taken 12 senators on helicopter tours, looking at the devastation in the area, and our teams have been there. I'm on the board of directors of Heal Corp, and we're bringing in water sanitation systems. We call them wash systems. We're providing tents, clothing, campers. People literally are living. We had a veteran, Sharona, this broke my heart. We had a veteran walk into one of the camps that we're running, and I collaborate with. He lost his legs serving this country. His wife has a tumor. They have 3 children, one 3-year-old who's deaf and autistic. They're living in their car freezing to death.
Oh
They
my
finally broke
gosh.
down and came to us. They were crying, and we at least got them a tent and a stove to keep them warm. We're trying to raise money right now for a camper, and I sure hope they go to our Give, Send, Go site, because all of your money goes to directly into the hands of that right there's one of our water filtration systems that was donated, and we're giving them clean. They don't even have clean drinking water. Imagine not being able to drink any water, not even from a hose, a bottle, nothing.
Where are you at in North Carolina right now?
I'm actually not in North Carolina today. I left
Or
North
where
Carolina
are
a couple of days ago.
these
I'm
pictures?
actually I'm on assignment here in Florida right now.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I'm
it's a
in.
beautiful time to be in Florida. Where are these pictures from? We've been showing all the pictures that you've taken of
These are
what's
all in
happening
North
there.
Carolina. This is near Swannanoa. We're up in
Mm,
Spruce Pine. We're in the hardest hit Buncombe County. We're in the hardest hit areas. And here's the misunderstanding.
wow.
In Asheville and certain lower levels of Swannanoa, people have everything They're getting the things that they need, not from the insurance companies for the most part, and certainly not from FEMA for the most part, from the locals. But where our teams are, we're up in the hardest hit areas where it's very difficult to get into. These people are mountain people. We have one town of 500 people that we have no idea. We haven't even heard from some of these people. We have taken mules and stuff up there. Now we can get up there easily because the roads systems are open, but these people don't have any trust. They're not coming down. They're not leaving their land because they're afraid somebody's going to come in and take it. And by the way, they have no homes that are left there. So they're literally living either in their cars or in tents or whatever they can do. And they are sick, dysentery. They're getting sick from parasites, from bad drinking water. So we're still trying to help people here while this piece of garbage president that we have is giving $1 billion plus to Africa when we're not even able to give these. Could you imagine if we had $1 billion, Sharona, and we took that money and we divided it between all the victims who lost their homes and their families that the insurance companies and the FEMA are denying claims because they're getting out of it through loopholes, that we wrote them an actual check and said, here, we're going to rebuild your home. That's impactful.
Why,
and that's what we need.
why are they being allowed to do this? I mean, really, Anthony Blinken made a big spectacle also of making sure making sure people knew that they were sending a whole bunch more money over to Ukraine also. And we've seen the videos now by O'Keefe, where they're saying they're unloading as much money as possible. The EPA is unloading as much money as possible into these nonprofit organizations until January 20th, at just a little bit after 12 o'clock on that day. And how is this possible that this is happening? Where can Congress, or can Congress? I mean, I actually asked one of our congressmen to come on and talk about this. Is there like an emergency break on the spending? If it's not going to go to the American people, these stories you're saying are absolutely horrendous. I don't understand the hatred for Americans by Americans.
Well, I mean, Johnson took one step. He was going to stop the aid going to Ukraine. Yeah, Congress can stop the aid. They control the purse string. It's a matter of calling them in for an emergency vote and saying we're halting all spending, all aid. We're reversing some of our previous approvals. They can do something 100%. Do they have the will to do it? I'm glad that Johnson did talk about stopping the aid going to Ukraine. We've given enough money to Ukraine. We do not need to give any more to Ukraine. Well, people here in the United States literally are living without food and water and shelter. Those are the basic needs and human rights. You want to talk about human rights? Those are the basic needs. All the while, also, we're giving illegals hotel rooms and credit cards still. I mean, it's just disgusting. And this is an upside down America that we live in. And it's not America first. Thank God we have an America first president coming in. And I hope, I'm trying to get Kristi Noem right now. I'm working with my dear friend, Sid Miller. He's the agricultural secretary of Texas. And I'm working with Gibbs Racing, who has just been incredibly generous. Joe Gibbs, I cannot speak highly enough about how generous this man is. He has literally let me, Kristi, whenever you need my helicopters, call. You can have them, whatever you need to do. And at 100% cost, I don't have to pay for a dime. Your donations don't even go to that. That's how generous these people are. We need help in North Carolina because I want everybody to understand, when you have a mountain region and you have water that was already, it was raining for days prior to the hurricane coming in. Then this hurricane came in and it sat and it just kept dumping water in the wind. And then you have mudslides. So you have this valley and all of this water just rushed down. Everything rose. I want you to imagine this, Sharona. 64 and 100-foot water waves. That's where we've measured, came through these towns, wiping people out. And not to be disgusting, we're still finding body parts and we're still finding missing people. It is like a blender. When you have all of that in these big, huge trees and these homes, people were inside their homes, never saw it coming, no warning, got swept away like a blender. We're finding fingers. We're finding stuff that we have to DNA. It'll be probably years before we find everybody. But that's what our teams are out there doing. We want to make sure every loved one comes home, no matter what that is. And your generous donations, your prayers, God, please pray for the people of North Carolina. Please. And if you're, you know what, Sharona, and I don't mean to be on, but I'm so passionate about this because I've seen it. Freezing, no homes. If you're a construction worker, if you own a construction company and God has been good to you, If you can come up, contact me personally, contact Sharona. She knows how to get a hold of me. Let's get teams up there. Let's go get lumber and let's just go in there. I know enough senators and enough people that we could cut through some of the red tape, I believe, and let's get these people some shelter, some tiny homes, whatever that looks like. Because yes, FEMA is, and what they're using, Sharona, is red tape and laws and BS. We have to let common sense come into play. I want to create, with some dear friends, a disaster force. We need to get rid of FEMA. We need to have a disaster force where the private sector comes in with the government aid and gets people the help they need, because we do it right and they do it wrong.
They absolutely do it. Have you observed, or are you hearing stories about these videos that we're seeing where FEMA was denying services?
So there's a little misinformation about some things out there, even like FEMA camps and the breaking down and all that stuff. I reported way back when that there was a lot of FEMA camps popping up and being dismantled, all sorts of stuff, right? Contracts being put out there. But what is the truth? The truth is, with the tiny homes, there's building codes. So they're shutting stuff down because of codes, right? And in times of disaster, here's a news flash. Whether that home's unsafe or didn't meet the code, they're going to freeze to death in their car. So I'd rather have them in a tiny home that was built where they have some warmth than living in a car or a tent and freezing to death. Common sense, people. We have to suspend codes during natural disasters or certain emergencies. And then we can go in and relook at stuff. It just blows my mind, the bureaucracy and the stupidity in our government. FEMA. I've personally filmed in the footage. We have FEMA trailers sitting literally 30, 40 minutes outside of the hardest hit areas at rest areas, sitting empty. Why? Because they say it's unsafe for them to bring those trailers in. Again, stupidity, bureaucracy. They just don't do it right. And you know, at the end of the day, it's because nobody wants to have any kind of accountability. They don't want the accountability. They don't want to say, if something, God forbid, something happened and went wrong, that it was on my watch. Well, sometimes, you know what? Grow a pair, be on your watch, and help the people who need it, and we'll worry about the other stuff later.
Well, I think God has a way of sorting that stuff out anyway. When it's for the good of the people you're dealing with, of course, things don't always go perfect, but actually withholding is a whole nother situation. We also saw the videos where citizens in the communities, Asheville and over by Chimney Rock area, where they were saying that the red tape that FEMA was putting down, saying these houses are not inhabitable. And because of that, we're going to take your children until you have a place that your children can reside in. You have the chaos of moving people, telling FEMA saying you can go stay at these hotels, but that's 40, 45 minutes, an hour away from where these people work and where they live. And it's not conducive. They don't even have vehicles anymore. This kind of red tape nonsense. Have you heard anything pertaining to children or children being taken into custody?
So if a parent doesn't have a safe place for that child, they are being offered and suggested that the child can come stay over here. So yes, that is, but it's not 100% the way that it's going down, because they can't just actually come in and take a child from a parent. I have not personally heard or seen that, but they are suggesting that we can take the child and put them over here until you guys can get yourself straightened around. But one of the most important things I think is the insurance companies. I want to talk about the insurance companies. The insurance companies, as we know, they have big, huge lobbyists, and the insurance companies put a lot of money into the politicians' pockets. It's that simple. Good intentions or bad intentions, we've got to stop that, because what's happened is the hurricane came through. That is the root cause of everything that happened outside. Whether it was the flood, whether it was the water, whether it was the wind, the hurricane caused it. There's the root. How the insurance companies are getting away with not paying their claims, and believe me, they are not paying a whole lot of claims, is the fact that they're saying, well, you didn't have flood insurance, or you didn't have wind mitigation insurance, or whatever. So the bottom line is, we've got to change the loopholes. The insurance companies, if a hurricane was the root cause of all of the after effects, then common sense should say, whatever happened to that home, no matter how it was destroyed, the root cause was the hurricane, and they should have to cover the expenses to replace that home. You know, I was in one of the hardest hit areas where the 11 family members lost their life. I hugged them. It was heart wrenching to hear their stories. And I'll never forget this one little couple. They just really impressed on my heart right now. They finally saved up the money to buy their grandmother's home. She had lived there. It's a generational home. They had just finished remodeling it. The grandmother moved up the hill. She's literally 8 months pregnant. They've lost family members. The home is completely destroyed. And not only did FEMA deny both their claims twice, but their insurance company refuses to pay for the rebuild of the house. So they're paying on a home and a mortgage that a home doesn't exist anymore. Well, I don't know about you, Sharona, but you have to be pretty damn wealthy to be able to pay off that mortgage and then also have another mortgage to build another home, to have a construction loan. Most people aren't going to be able to do that. So what are they going to be forced to do? Sell their property, right? And that's what's going on.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about that. Very interesting, you guys. The new Twister movie, and can I keep you just a little bit longer? I know you are seriously
Nope,
engaged,
I'm
but is
good.
it okay?
Yep.
So the new Twister movie, okay, remember the movie Twister from like back in the day, Helen, whatever her name is, and well, there's a new one. And the whole thing about the new Twister movie is they're talking about, yes, these kind of opportunistic realtors who are working with the insurance companies who come in to buy up the property behind the people once they've lost everything. So they're not interested in fixing the system that does exactly what you just said, does not make sure that they can find the loopholes so the insurance doesn't have to pay. No. They want to buy up that property supposedly at market value and then turn around and do whatever it is they're going to do with it. That was literally in that movie, and it's the first time I understood exactly what's going on in North Carolina. I was like,
It's
oh my gosh, that's what they're doing.
I've personally spoke to landowners, and as a matter of fact, this one particular town, they had the police, their local sheriffs, because they're all like friends and family, they all in these small little towns, and the police and the fire department have posted and not allow anybody into that community unless you can prove that you're a resident in there, because people were coming in. I call them the bottom feeders, the scumbags, right? Who are coming in and they're trying to buy their property pennies on the dollar right after they hadn't even finished burying their loved ones. And these people are doing that. Yes, I can report 100% this is happening in North Carolina.
That is, I don't know what the word is. I love the bottom feeder scumbag. That's pretty much correct in my mind too. But this is literally a business model. And it's happening, by the way, also in Bradenton, in Venice County, Florida. And these people who have put their life savings into those cute little bungalows that sit along the water there after the hurricane as well, that sit along where the ocean flows in, you know what I'm talking about, where the dolphins come out and all that, it's absolutely incredible. They have decided they'll get a lot more money if they can build some high rises right there. So they are saying that they're not going to honor the insurance that the people have purchased there in those bungalows that, you know, again, they poured their life savings into. They're not like they're beautiful because it's Florida, but it's not like amazing, but the property is amazing. And so these sharks have been waiting for something to happen so they could swoop in partnership with the insurance company who's identifying the properties that they want to enrich themselves off of. And just for not having the air conditioning unit that FEMA has said you have to have post hurricane, these people are losing their properties. I am not kidding you. And so that's the real issue is FEMA has set up these restrictions post hurricane. They're not laws. They're nothing that's legally recognized except for FEMA is saying this is what you have to have in order for the insurance company to honor your claim. So it's definitely, sorry, it's all coming back to me now. This is definitely a partnership, but there's a duality going on here. It's very interesting, and I don't know how one is enriching the other or how they're helping each other, but it is definitely based off of the recommendations of FEMA that the insurance company is adjusting post this hurricane, not only in North Carolina, but also in Florida. I just realized the connection. This is helping incredibly much. If you guys are watching and you're putting this together.
If you follow the insurance companies, right,
Wow.
they have
Wow.
investors. Well, those investors sometimes are in these big Vanguard funds or in these BlackRock funds. And so they're all intertwined with one another. And the insurance companies, of course, it's easy because they can identify the people who they're going to deny the claims from, because they can look at where the loopholes are or whatever and then of course FEMA can come in and say, well, this home, for example, I was actually at the Capitol Hill, like I said, last Monday. One of the senators, his sister, her home was very badly damaged in the hurricane up in the mountains. Well, inside the home was fine, but the garage was completely destroyed. And one of the inspectors drove by their house, saw the garage, didn't even get out of his car to go and actually inspect the house, and then marked that home as completely unlivable, which means you have to tear it down. And she's like, wait a minute. And he didn't know that that was one of the senator's sisters. So this is
Wow.
going on, America. It's not
Wow.
conspiracy theory, and it's disgusting. It's a disgusting practice. But I don't blame the insurance companies, and I don't blame FEMA. Who I do blame is the leaders who allow these things to go on. We have to have the governors, we have to have the senators, we have to have the state reps, and then also on a federal level to start oversight and regulating the insurance companies. And I sure hope President Trump really does tackle that. It's not a sexy thing to do, right? But
Right.
it doesn't make splashy headlines, but it would have the biggest impact on most people's lives. For example, even in here, Governor DeSantis, he signed a horrible bill about this condo association thing that went through. And all of a sudden, HOAs and condo and insurance companies weren't insuring, and the HOAs went out of way out of whack. You couldn't sell your condo, so all of it's depreciating. Get the picture? And then
Yep.
people can come in, they can't even sell, so then they're going to have to sell pennies on the dollar. And most condos are on really good areas overlooking water or whatever. So it's
Hmm.
a dirty little thing, and it is happening, and we have to revamp and reshape the whole entire insurance industry. One thing I will have to say, I think that the American people are the most incredible, generous, loving, kind people. And I would love to see, I'm a huge fan of Frank Sills with Tunnels to Towers. I think his organization is incredible. Samaritan's Purse, Heal Corp, and Women Fight. We do a lot of good things. But could you imagine if we had a fund, Sharona, where 100% of the money literally went towards, if somebody lost their home or something tragic happened, that we could come in and say, you know what, we're going to pay off your mortgage. We're going to rebuild that home for you. Wouldn't that be a better use of our taxpayer funded dollars than sending billions and hundreds of millions of dollars to these other countries? I think that would
Yes.
really is what we need to start looking at, doing a fund, again, a disaster force and a disaster fund where American people's hard earned tax dollars are actually going back to them in the most needed times.
Absolutely.
I just think that that's what we need to
Absolutely.
start doing.
And I think it'd be good to go with people who have a track record of living pretty selflessly on behalf of other people already. I think that's another huge problem is who we staff these things with. I never could have imagined that the head of FEMA would be giving direction and directives to not support people who look like they might be Republicans. I mean, the challenge really is, truly it is finding good people, and you are one of those good people. Thank you so much for all your great work.
Thank
And I know, just knowing you, you just go wherever God leads you and wherever the need is, and you fill in and you plug up gaps and you just step in and intercede. And I just thank you so much for that. We're going to post up the Give Send Me. Is it Give Send Go or Give Send
It's a
Go
Give
account?
Send Go, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's a Give Send Go account, and 100% of the
yeah.
money is going to the. I underwrite, by the way. I personally pay for all administrative costs, so 100% of your dollars go towards the people who need it the most. I don't take a salary. I'm a $0 CEO. None of my team. We're all volunteer, and we just.
Facts. Facts, girl. You guys, this is facts. And we love that. And God is going to reward you richly. I mean, seriously,
I'm going poor, but it's okay. I will. My reward's in heaven. That's what I keep telling everybody. They're like, Christy,
thank
what are
you,
you
Lord.
doing? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have the biggest mansion in the Golden Gates right there down the road from Paul. You know.
Oh my. Oh my. I love it. Well, we're going to post this under our live today. And please go look for it if you're watching on Patriot TV. Head to our X or our Facebook account and you're going to find it there. The link is going to be there for you guys. These are the organizations that are doing the heavy lifting right now, and they're staying there until the job is done. Christie Hutcherson, Women Fighting for America. Thank you for the fight.
Thank you so much. God bless. Merry Christmas.
Wow. Ah, Merry Christmas. Oh, friends. See, we have good news. There's good things going on. There's just things that we have to keep our eyes on and make sure that we are holding our government accountable. And I love when we're talking about starting organizations or helping through congressional inquiries, which essentially this effort, people like Christie and what they're doing and the coalitions they're building are going to lead to congressional inquiries into the handling of these disasters. And yes, the people who unrightly so. Earlier we talked about opportunities to grow with earlier in the week with Jason Dean, and we're looking at opportunities to grow that are good, that are helpful for everybody. People who look for opportunities to enrich themselves while everyone else is suffering, and they're literally looking for money off the backs of these people, that's disgusting. And that's what we call evil. So we don't want to do it that way. And there needs to be an inquiry into exactly what has gone down here with the insurance companies, with FEMA's regulations that they adopted post hurricane, and then the application thereof. We really do. We have to know exactly what happened here. Well, guys, I want to talk about one of my favorite sponsors right now because I am always looking out for the good guys. I want you to know about the good guys, and I want you to know about good things that are working really, really well. So, one of our sponsors today, of course, is our great American manufacturer. You can go to shopwithpatriots.com right now to get more information on how you can join our exclusive American made club. Now, this is an American manufacturer who's been at work for over 40 years in this country, hiring American workers and putting America first. They are now almost 100% made right here in the United States. They made a lot of changes during COVID to make sure that their customers were always going to have their everyday use items brought directly to their door, toxin free. And absolutely fabulous. Everything that you use from head to toe. Your shampoo. I use their purple shampoo. I absolutely love it for you blondes out there. All of my supplements now are now from this company because it's a very serious supplement company and health company, as well as your home cleaning items and your toothpaste, best toothpaste ever, you guys. It already has a natural whitening in it. And let's not forget it's the holiday season. So there are beautiful American made gifts also available to purchase for you. Go to shopwithpatriots.com, go check it out today and join our mission. We are about returning the power back to the people. Well, the best and fastest way to do that is to support American manufacturing. And thank God you don't have to sacrifice quality or pay a fortune with this company. Shopwithpatriots.com, go check it out today. So, lots of interesting things are going on. Lots of changes of heart are going on. I want to ask all of you guys to drop it in the comments wherever you're watching right now and let me know what is the first thing that you want the DOGE to do. And in case you have forgotten what that is the Department of Government. It's not oversight. It's basically we're ending the abuse of government. And if you haven't seen it yet, I want you guys to go to the site. I'm going to pull it up here for you guys so you can see it. It's the Department of Government Efficiency. And the reason that we love this so much is because this is going to be where our government goes to be dramatically shrunk. And I think you're going to find too, it's a very interactive site here on Facebook, or excuse me, on Twitter. And I'm gonna pull this up for you guys. This is absolutely hilarious. Yes. Okay, hang on. Oh, that's interesting. There's several accounts on here. You got to be really careful. So you're going to go to the Doge account. I'm going to show you guys here online. Give me just one second. Department of Government Efficiency. So this is where, again, where we're all going. And you know what? They had me unfollow them. I was following them. Are you guys having this problem too? I'm not even going to follow them yet. I'm going to share this with you guys. This is what has been happening on X. I've been telling you guys about this, that all of the accounts that I'm following that are conservative accounts, I am having to actually refollow all of my conservative accounts, you guys, or even somewhat Americanish accounts. So Department of Government Efficiency, I've been following them since day one. I'm having to refollow you, you guys. Uh, Vivek, I'm having to refollow all of this on here, but the great thing about this site is that it's asking who and what should be done right away. So take a look at this. I really want you guys to zoom in on this. The United States gives more in aid to foreign countries than the next 9 countries combined. Where exactly is that money going? I mean, we already heard about the Pakistani transgender sex change operations, right? Of course, we should be funding that. I mean, veterans are, freezing and homeless on the corners, but Pakistani transgenders, they need us. They really need us. We can feel real good about ourselves after that. We are giving massive amounts of money to these organizations, massive, and this is in the millions. So just make sure you're seeing that we're giving millions and millions and millions of dollars worldwide to countries that don't give two cares about us. And in fact, have you guys heard the latest about Canada and Ukraine? Canada and by the way, this site is just so awesome. So make sure you're following it. Department of Government Efficiency. It's absolutely fantastic. Make sure you're following it. Now, if you didn't hear what's happening with Canada and Ukraine, you need to know. Okay, everybody needs to know what Canada has just done. Canada has just declared another, I don't know, 30 plus weapons illegal in Canada, and they will come to your home. They will confiscate your weaponry, and they are sending it to Ukraine. Yes, you heard me. I guess they don't have any more money to give. I don't know if that's true or not, but possibly not. So now they're going to take all of your weapons that are there for you to make sure that your government does not supersede your will. Well, Canada, at some point, you guys have to remember all of the damage that your government has done to you, from promoting and hosting the MK Ultra program to going, tribe by tribe and stealing the indigenous children, from your communities and putting them in horrendous hostile situations, not only trying to breed, literally breed and groom the indigenous out of them, but actually creating absolute terror homes for these children where they experienced unbelievable and unspeakable abuse, both sexually and physically. The stories I've heard, and I've met one of the women who actually was taken from her family and put in one of these homes to get the indigenous out of her and adopt the royals' belief on how humans should behave and act and all of that. And it was so horrible, so tragic. I just wish the Canadian people would think about and remember who they actually are and where they come from and what their roots are. Even if it was just the indigenous of Canada, you guys should really remember who you are and where you've come from, and stop letting your government do this to you. I know so many great people in Canada, strong conservatives, who are still allowing the government to do this stuff to them. And it's got to end. But I thought that was definitely one of the most absurd things that you guys should know is happening in the world today. Canada's confiscating guns and sending them to Ukraine, because why not? Right? Why not? All right, friends. Well, we are going to be wrapping up our time together here in just a moment, on America's Mom here on Patriot TV. And before we do that, I want to remind you of a very critical situation that we're all dealing with still. It is still going on, and that is the election. It didn't end on November 5th, you guys. And although President Trump was elected, the deep state globalists are hoping that you're going to be good with that and move right along and not look here or there or at any of the almost 1,000 now indiscrepancies in our elections on that night, both malfeasance, literally on site in down ballot races, or the electronic voting machines literally doing what they do, which is screwing up left and right. I'm sure it was not on purpose. Even though computers only do what they're programmed to do, I am sure it was just a blip. Okay. I'm sure it was not on purpose that votes were being switched to other candidates. Okay. Totally. It was just a blip. Okay. And thankfully we caught it in some places. In other places we did not. Or how about those signature verification machines? Oh my. Wow. You know that they can't detect a perfect signature, right? So when the signature is compared with your DMV signature and it's a perfect match, it doesn't highlight them. It doesn't throw them out. Yeah, just a little, nugget there for you. It does not detect perfect signatures. And those would be the ones that you really need to know are making the pass through the tabulator, through the verification machine. And if they're not being removed for adjudication, so to have a human look at it and say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't even look like ink, this must be printed on, you're in big trouble. And that's what we saw happen in a lot of counties as well. So, why am I telling you all of this? Because we are still looking at many, many complaints, nearly 1,000 complaints now of malfeasance in our elections on November 5th. And I want to direct everybody to Orange County. This is a really, really big deal right now. And actually, Joe Hoft from Gateway Pundit has a great article out right now about what is going on there, because they are still assessing their election turnout, you guys. It's still going on. They are not done. I literally checked in with a couple of folks in Orange County this morning from the Women's Republican Association. They are still counting. So if you missed it, in Orange County, while they were counting, there was a bomb threat. Okay. So everybody evacuates the building. And what do you know? The link that watches the ballots, the cameras, it was turned off during the bomb threat. For how long? We don't know. What happened to the ballots during that time? Oh, we don't know that either. What we do know, though, is in a red county, a very, very red county, a very conservative city and county, the Democrats are winning. Ta-da! It's like magic, you know? You just throw in machines, you throw in some bomb threats or some water leaks, and ta-da! Eventually the Democrats will win. And that's exactly what's happening in Orange County, California right now. Those people fought hard. They were able to flip more than 10 seats across the state. And of course, they've reclaimed a couple of much needed congressional seats for the country. But right now, a lot of that is being undone in Orange County. So I want to encourage you all to keep your eyes on there. We are focused on this. We are paying attention to this at the Lindell Offense Fund. And if you don't know, I serve as the executive director there, and I watch and hear all of these stories. We raise money to make sure that we can fund the legislative efforts and the legal efforts and battles that are going to come out of these types of situations. We also fund the cyber experts. We fund the data experts who are looking at the analysis to see what happened with the cast vote records the night of the elections. See, we know not to be content that Trump won because they gave that to us. And now they're going to cause mayhem with down ballot races. Take in consideration Arizona's race. 1.6 million people turned out to vote for President Trump. 1.5 turned out supposedly to vote for Kamala Harris in Arizona. Strangely, the Democrat candidate for U.S. Senate, Gallegos, also received 1.6 million votes like Donald Trump. Well, that's strange. Why would you vote for a Republican president, but then choose a Democrat down ballot U.S. Senate pick? I don't think I even need to tell you, but guess how many votes Carrie Lake got? Yeah, 1.5 million, just like, Kamala Harris. The machines only do what they're programmed to do, and that sure sounds like a vote switching to me in the U.S. Senate race in Arizona. These are the things that we're investigating. These are the things we're auditing. These are the things we are going to stay on top of. And we have said at the Lindell Offense Fund, you've heard Mike Lindell say it over and over, we are not stopping until the machines are gone. America is an anomaly when it comes to these electronic voting machines. 136 countries have banned them. They are not allowed to exist in 136 other countries. And yet America continues to propagate this idea that we can use hackable electronic voting machines to count our most precious thing, our vote. It has to end. And it has to end this year. Guys, we have our midterm elections coming up and they will be here before you know it. People are preparing for their elections starting at the end of this year. Many people have already declared their candidacy for the 2026 midterm elections. That's going to be Congress seats. It's going to be U.S. Senate seats. It's going to be county commissioner seats, school board seats. All the same types of elections are going to happen in 26 minus the presidential race. And we're not ready for it. And if you are still using electronic voting machines in your county, then you are doomed. And it is time that we really take a stand and do something about it. I want to encourage you all to go to lindellplan.com. Please make a contribution there today. And even more so, click on the plan to see exactly what we are doing to continue to secure our original mission, which was securing our election platforms across the country. You guys, we take this extremely seriously. We have not stopped working. And as soon as Trump won and those down ballot races started exposing themselves to be completely flipped, we knew we have a ton of work ahead of us. We are fully committed, as we were 4 years ago, to securing our election platforms and getting rid of these disturbing electronic voting machines. Yes, we know people cheat with ballots. We know that. But there's no way for them to cheat on the scale that they do with machines. So, friends, please stand with us, lindellplan.com. Go there today. Please make a contribution. Consider being a monthly contributor as well. I know people are fatigued. I know we feel like we've given everything we have. But if we don't secure our elections, we're going to be in this exact same spot in 2 years and in 4 years. President Trump is not going to be the president forever. And quite frankly, he never should have had to worry about having this much power ever. This is not the proper role of the presidency. So I hope you guys will take this seriously. And although there may not be a whole lot right now you can do in your neighborhood, we are doing an awful lot across the country. lindellplan.com. Go check it out today. Thank you guys so much for being with us today on America's Mom and hearing these gut-wrenching stories and just knowing there are some good things going on. There's some really good news out there. We just can't afford to be apathetic. We have to stay vigilant. We are absolutely in a fight for our lives. And as Christie said, we're going to be watching what the deep state globalists do to cause mayhem across the world to block what President Trump is going to try to do to return the power back to the people. That's what he's going to do. And that's what we need to be prepared for. So, in order for us to have that power, we must be diligent and educated and ready to exercise it. I hope you are. Remember, all that's necessary for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do absolutely nothing. We'll see you back here soon.